Welcome back, sci-fi fans, to the Science Fictionary podcast. I'm Andrew, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Firefly drop we got today. So, as we predicted earlier in the week, there were really three options. That was a series continuation, which I felt was pretty unlikely, a movie, which I hoped was the most likely, and then an animated series, which, it was certainly one of the things I mentioned as a possibility, but was my least favorite idea of the three. Well, so Nathan Fillion dropped the video today. What we know is that they've pitched or are pitching a new Firefly animated series. Part of me's really, really excited about that. I mean, I love that world. I love those characters. I can get excited as a fan of things like the Clone Wars and Rebels. I could get very excited about an animated series. That's not my problem. So it sounded like they've got showrunners, they've got a script, everybody's back. We don't really know. We know Alan Tudyk's back, but they didn't really tell us when this show is going to be set. I see a lot of speculation that it's going to be set between the series and the movie. I see a lot of speculation that it's going to be after the movie. So we'll see. And, I think either of those are fine. Obviously, if it's before the movie, then having Alan back in his role as Wash is great. We'll obviously probably need a recast for Book, although we did have, there was a time jump between the series and the movie where some things did change, so we can fill that gap. And we do know that Book had gone off to do his own thing during that stretch. So, I think they've got a couple of options time-wise. At face value, I'm super excited for this series. I think that even with all the things that I'm not happy about, I think they could still end up producing a great product, mostly because I know how passionate Nathan Fillion is about this. He's been trying for a very long time to find a way to make this show come back. I'll be honest, I'd have been a lot more excited if it had been a movie announcement. So, in the interest of keeping this short tonight, let's just, here's what I want to do. So, we got an announcement for our showrunners who also have written at least the script for whatever they're pitching. I don't know if they've written a season's worth of script or if they've written a pilot, and I'm not sure. I'm very, very disappointed in the writers. I mean, obviously, it was very unlikely. Now, Nathan says that he has Joss's blessing, and I really felt like that Nathan and Alan and the rest of the crew were very unlikely to push this forward without Joss's blessing. I just wouldn't expect that. I would have loved to have seen Joss come back. I think that he's done enough time away for, what sounds like mostly just being an asshole. And let's not sit here and pretend that Hollywood is not full of assholes, especially directors. It's this whole, and of course, it's seeing someone like Whedon who helped, was a big fan of the monster until it got him and canceled him. It is what it is. But I think that, on one hand, I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, Whedon's out, I'm out," and I'm like, I know some of you that I see saying that have been hating on Joss Whedon ever since Justice League came out. So, I'm not sure what your deal is there. I would have loved to have seen Tim Minear back involved, who had an awful lot to do with the original series. In the absence of Joss, I would have liked to have seen Jed Whedon and Marissa, his wife, possibly be involved here, heavily involved with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back when that was on. So I think that they would have been a good fit as the showrunners, and maybe there was a reason they're not. And I honestly don't know what they're up to these days. Ultimately, yes, Josh did some things, but ultimately, I think that the fact that Josh, hasn't done anything in 6 years is a shame. As a fantastic storyteller, I would love to see what that 5 years has done for him. Perhaps some time away did him some good, but I don't know. We'll find out. Like, it's a little shocking that we're getting this without Joss. Would I rather it have Joss? Absolutely. Bring him back. So we have Tara Butters and Mark Guggenheim. And I'm just going to be honest, like, Mark Guggenheim is a slime ball. You can look through some comments he's made. I'm not going to air them here. You can look at some comments he made when he was working on Spider-Man comic books, specifically referring to Mary Jane, some things he would have liked to have done there. He's also largely responsible for the collapse of Arrow on the CW, but also with Tara Butters and Mark Guggenheim on board here. I mean, neither of them have done a tremendous amount of writing. I mean, obviously Mark's done a lot more TV writing, but I mean, we're talking about a lot of things that don't really match what we're doing here. Now, she wrote a couple of episodes of Dollhouse, which was a Joss Whedon product. Guggenheim is mostly known for his stuff with the Arrowverse. And honestly, it's really came into the Arrowverse and was a big part of that just kind of falling apart. He gets a lot of the blame there. He also wrote that horrible Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters movie. He wrote the really terrible Green Lantern movie. He's I'll just be honest. When I look through his stuff, I don't see a lot of stuff that gives me a lot of hope. And all that on top of him just kind of being a bit of a tool, but they are part of the Whedon sort of family tree as far as making stuff. So I suppose that's how they got connected and involved here. The other thing that has me concerned, we're going to do a lot more on this. I just wanted to put something short out there, but the other thing is Shadow Machine Studios, the company doing the animation. When I said I could get excited about animation, what I pictured in my head was something along the lines of Star Wars Rebels, Clone Wars, something like that. Obviously we've gotten very used to some very high quality animation coming from there. And then there are plenty of other good animation studios out there. Now, before somebody comes at me, I know Shadow Machine has won some awards for their animation. But y'all, let's just be honest. Like, go look through their catalog and tell me that Robot Chicken and Moral Oral and BoJack Horseman and the Tiny Chef Show is what you want Firefly to look like. So when I look through their stuff, maybe there's something, maybe something that I don't, of a series that Shadow Machine has been involved in. But when I look at Shadow Machine, I really am very concerned that what we're going to end up with is a Firefly animated series that looks like a early 2000s Cartoon Network Adult Swim show. I mean, it's not to knock their animation. I think for what they do a good job. But I don't think they do anything that I'm going to take seriously as a continuation of Firefly. I just don't. I'm not seeing it. I don't get it. Yes, I'm very, very excited that we're getting something Firefly. We've waited a very, very long time. I still think the best course of action is new movies. Maybe this is great. Maybe this turns out to be an absolutely brilliant series and gives the studio enough confidence in the product to make another movie. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the way that Firefly fandom has carried on and kept this series, kept this show alive for so long, I don't understand why Fox never had the confidence to bring it back. And I don't understand why Disney doesn't have the confidence to say, yeah, let's do a show. Now, I know there's problems with the show. I know realistically, Nathan and Morena and probably Gina, none of them probably have any time to do another full length show. But a movie would be fantastic. And maybe this show's great. Maybe this is what brings it back around. I suppose that the upside to trying to continue the story for animation is if it's bad, it's really easy to just ignore its existence. That's kind of my thoughts on that is nobody's likely to ever take it as seriously as the movies themselves, the movie or the show. So, in that sense, if this is bad, then we can just write it off as this thing that doesn't really count. It is what it is. I don't even know if I want to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll say I'm cautiously optimistic solely because I have confidence in Nathan Fillion wanting this to be good. That I don't think that they're running into this. That I don't think he's running into this looking to make something bad. I don't think that any of them want to do anything to tarnish the legacy of this show. But yeah, for as far as Tara Butters, Mark Guggenheim, and Shadow Machine Studios, they got a lot to prove. That's going to do it for me for tonight. Till next time, may the force be with you.